Good afternoon, and kind of wrapping up our media availability for today in advance of the 46th annual Geico 500. Our race winner from the spring race here at Talladega is Denny Hamlin, and he's the driver of the number 11 FedEx One Rate Deliverminator Toyota. With Joe Gibbs Racing. And Denny, first of all, so everybody has these. I think it's a great campaign. You want to talk about that a little bit, maybe?
Not really. It's a bad joke.
Okay.
Bad joke. That is not my body on that picture, by the way. That was just my head. But
just your head, okay. But we'll talk about.
Might be Photoshopped.
All right, let's talk about the race on Sunday. Certainly you won here in the spring, and that got you into the chase. And now as you are battling your way to stay in the chase and advance next to the eliminator round, what's your thought process about how you're going to approach Sunday's race?
Well, I think we'll have to kind of play it by ear and really kind of look and see what the guys around us in points are planning on doing. You just I don't know. We need to get a good solid finish out of this, obviously, to move on. We don't need to be involved in any wrecks or anything. But I tried a lot of different strategies here in the past, laying back. I was 34th on the white flag lap. Had there not been a caution, we would have finished in the 30s. So we can't afford a day like that. This season so far, we've had a lot of success on these super speedways by staying up front and running up front all day. And so I hope we can employ that same strategy. But if we're in some kind of position we don't want to be in and feel like it's kind of getting out of our control, then we'll hit the safe button for a while. So we'll just kind of see how it all plays out. But obviously we want to move on to the next round, as I feel like the next round obviously lends itself great for our race team to move on. So we're going to keep battling.
Questions now for Denny. If you have one, let's go back here to Jeff, work our way around.
Jeff Ross, ESPN. Denny over here in the corner. Denny, what's the general perception and what is your personal perception of Brad Keselowski as a race car driver?
I think Brad's obviously a great talent, and I think that, I think that Brad really is taking leaps and bounds over where he was when we had our incidents, and I think that was 2008 or 2009. I think he has changed as a person and a driver, all for the better. And I thought that last week was a bit of a step back from that, but we all have bad weeks, and you go through it, and you got to just move on. But I think Brad knows where I stand and where the other drivers stand on how he's been.
Zach
Al-Khatib, Daily Home. Could you comment on the new qualifying format and whether you think it'll affect the way you race Sunday?
No. Once we go into the race, qualifying's done, so it won't change that at all. But I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. I think it's top 24 combined times from two different groups. So really, it's going to be whatever group forms up the best is liable to have all 24 of those cars moving on to the next round. So I really don't know. We're just going to try to get in line and hopefully form something pretty quick in qualifying to try to get to the next round. But I mean, qualifying, it honestly really doesn't mean a whole lot at this racetrack. So when we won here in the spring, we started in the very back. So it was you can do it at this racetrack. It's one of the few tracks that you can, and so we don't put a whole lot of effort into that.
Bob?
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. I asked Brad and Matt the same thing. I mean, do you regret anything that you did on Saturday night?
Not really. I mean, I really didn't do anything. Honestly, I gave him a brake check down the back stretch, but besides that, I didn't do anything. My team guys wouldn't let me do anything. that was kind of a bummer. But you know, you just you know, the only thing I was trying to do was, you know, in the garage and then even on pit road was just box him in so I could get to him before his team guys got there. You know, I didn't, you know, ram him into him on pit road or anything like that. I just kept, if you watch, I just kept trying to box him in to where he couldn't go anywhere. And I talked to Brad and told him that. So it, you know, I don't regret anything. I really didn't feel like I did anything wrong. And obviously, from the penalties, you know, NASCAR didn't feel like I did either.
Did you ram into him in the garage?
No, I boxed him in, and he was in a position where he knew he was boxed in and wanted to get out very quickly. So that's when he got into our right front and spun the tires.
Reed?
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. I mean, you said qualifying basically is not important here, but will where you qualified dictate how you approach the first part of the race?
It will, for sure. I think that if we are able to get a good qualifying spot, it'll allow me to try to stay up front. But if we get mauled in the center to back of the pack for qualifying, it'll probably set the tone for how we run the first part of the race, or at least until the first pit stop, where we can kind of shuffle ourselves up to the front through pit strategy or getting on and off pit road pretty quick and getting up to the front. So I think that's the one thing that will dictate for qualifying for us is our early race strategy.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Matt came in here and he said that he would have done the same thing if it wasn't the chase format that kind of, you know, pumped him up to be so angry. If the same things happened in a different format, he would have just been as upset. Do you think the chase format is what caused last week in your mind? Or, you know, you can't speak for anyone else I know, but do you think that that's what caused it or would have happened anyway?
I think if it was a regular season race, I wouldn't say I'd be probably as upset. Simply because if you don't win, it's really irrelevant. You know, Matt was having a tough day anyway. I don't think Matt was going to win. I don't think I was going to win, but it took us from, you know, a possible good finish in a point of the season where points really do matter to in the regular season, if it happens, points really don't matter. So I'd say my intensity got ramped up for sure simply because it is a three-race season in which you've got to get every position you can each and every race.
Gentleman right here, I can't see him. Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. Denny, it sounded like you and Brad have spoken. Is that true? And if so, can you elaborate a little bit?
You know, I'll keep it really kind of between us, but you know, he knows where I stand, and I, you know, feel like once we get to Talladega here and we go racing, it's, you know, things are going to be as if nothing happened last week. You got to be professional about it, and you got to move on. So I think that you know, there have been discussions quite a bit.
Jared, and then Stan. Jared?
Yeah, Jared Turner, FoxSports.com. Just a couple things. Did you feel that Brad deserved a stiffer penalty for his role in it? And what kind of message does it send, or did NASCAR send, that Matt was not penalized?
No, I really don't believe that, you know, he deserved a stiffer penalty. I mean, you know, you hate to put a points penalty, you know, any monetary fine is a big deal, and even though people don't think it is, it's, you know, it still comes out of his pocket. So I mean, that's a big deal. And not only that, but it also, you know, I'm sure there was discussions in the hauler about, you know, this is our safe zone, safe area that, you know, that there are fans and potential crew members around that we don't, it's a kind of a zero tolerance policy inside that garage and on pit road. So, you know, the message as far as Matt's concerned, I mean, you know, what else short of really just blindsiding and attack him? How else are you going to get to him? There's so many crew guys, you know, they won't let you talk to him. So, you know, he kind of did what he had to do, and really, you really in the video you can't see any punches or anything. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they were holding hands.
Stan, and then Lee.
Stan Creekmore with competitionplus.com. Last lap, is there any driver that you would give up victory for to help ensure that they got the best possible finish?
No chance. No chance.
I.e. Matt Kenseth?
No, no way. There's no way any driver is going to give up a victory. I don't believe. I mean, I could be wrong, but there's no way in the 50 seconds that it takes from the start-finish line of the white flag lap to go all the way around. In that 50 seconds, your crew chief is not able to translate what scenarios are going on for you to think about it and execute it before you get around to the checkered. Like, you know, there's so many things that go on, and everything's going to change in that final lap, you know, going back and forth in positions that, you know, you could be in, and hey, you're in by 8 spots on the white flag lap, and you cross the checker, and you're, oh, by the way, you just missed it. Why? I didn't go anywhere. I was in the same positions because that guy moved up. So it'll change so much, and I just don't think that there's, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of teammate stuff going on as far as, you know, kind of make sure you stay in line with your teammates and don't hang them out, things like that. But every team's going to do that to some extent. We do it even when championship pictures aren't, implications aren't part of it. So, you know, working better with teammates is what's made me better at super speedway racing. So I think that it's just too hard to really think about those scenarios and translate them before you can actually execute them, because it's already changed behind you by the time you got around.
Lee?
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Do you, I know when the laps come down, or, you know, the final laps come down, you decide where you need to be, where you need to go, and all of that. Is it going to be just kind of every man for himself, or if you're completely out of it, do you help a teammate, or, you know, what's going to be the final strategy as the race unfolds towards the end?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think that for us, we're going to try to get the best finish we can. Obviously, if there's an opportunity to help Kenseth move up some positions on the final lap, then I'll do that. More than likely, if my car is still running, then I'm still, you know, I've got a good shot at getting a good finish. So, you know, our position is we need to finish 15th or better. So more than likely, if I'm still rolling around on that final lap, then, you know, I'm thinking about getting 15th or better. And then after that, I'm thinking about, hey, can I help? Can I push my teammate or maybe help him in some kind of way? But it's impossible to do that, especially with just a few laps to go. If Matt is, you know, 4 or 5 positions behind, there's no way we're going to just check up and get behind him. You know, he's going to have to get up to the front, and he's been way more successful at these super speedway races than I've ever dreamed about. So I think that it's just going to be every person for themselves, in my opinion. It's just too much work to worry about getting somebody else in.
Go to Jeff and then Tom.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. There's an online Vegas, or I don't know Vegas, but online betting site that put odds on the odds on Keselowski getting into another fight with you or Kenseth before the end of the chase. They put the odds at 100 to 1. Do you think that's too high, too low, or just right?
Way too high.
Hey,
it's for either of us, right? Well, I mean, like, what's the deadline? Oh, end of the chase? I don't know. We'll all run into each other at some point in Martinsville. I mean, it's just going to be part of it. So does that count? Oh, it has to be a fight? It's probably about right then. We saw from Saturday night, those two aren't fighters.
Denny, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. There's a whole bunch of guys in this chase who only have 2 guys who have 0 wins, and a couple guys like yourself who have 1, and a few who have 3 or 5. For this championship to have validity, does it need to be won by somebody who's won at least 1 race?
I don't know. I actually was watching the news this morning. It was like a .04 chance that the Royals and the Giants ended up in the World Series. I mean, it's just because they weren't all playing great baseball all year long, but they're playing great baseball now that it counts. And the guys like, that don't get talked about a lot is Newman and Carl and those guys and us. We're playing good right now. We're doing what it takes to move on now, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's similar to the Giants winning the Super Bowl a few years ago. They were 8-8 team or something like that, and they win the Super Bowl. Sports is different. When you have playoffs, potentials, things like this can happen. And obviously when you have a 3-race season, one bad race can really just take you out of the picture. And really that's what happened at Kansas with the guys that are at the bottom of the barrel now. They had a really bad Kansas and a mediocre Charlotte, and now they rely on one race to try to win and get in. So it's just, I'm sure this scenario has been thought through by NASCAR, and knowing that someone that has the most wins could get knocked out in the first round, much less the second. But it's still about consistency, and this is the last round you're going to be able to get by with consistency. You are going to have to be a top 5 to 6 car every single week from here on out if you really want to be a championship contender. And I think that after this cut, that's when you're really going to see the cream rise to the top. But I mean, we knew this was all possible. No one expected really probably 4 of the fastest drivers most of the year to be in this position like they are, but it's just one bad race puts them in that spot.
Just a quick follow-up to that. Then do you want to knock out the guys who are running well now, or the guys who won the most races early?
We would like to take out some of those fast guys back there. Obviously we would like to race amongst the group we have right now. Obviously, I feel like on speed we've been close to those guys. Jimmy and the 48 to 2 and the 5 and 20. I mean, they've all been really fast throughout the year. And so obviously if they get eliminated, then you obviously put yourself at a better chance to win come Homestead, because think about the top 5 guys you would put on the top of the list to win Homestead. You would rank those guys right up there. So I would like to get them out selfishly.